Hello friends, this is Tarun Kumar from Mega Vidya, and the topic we are going to discuss today is matrices, which is a plural of the word matrix. First of all, what a matrix is. A matrix is a representation of some numbers in a table like this. Let's take some random numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 are the elements of the matrix. There's one more property of the matrix, which is its order. The order of this matrix is 2 is to 2, where this 2 represents the number of rows and this 2 represents the number of columns. In this matrix, there are 2 rows. Let's call them R1, R2. These horizontal ones are the rows of this matrix, and the vertical ones are the columns of this matrix. Let's call them C1 and C2. The order of this matrix is 2 is to 2, as there are 2 rows and 2 columns. Let's take another example of a matrix. Let's call it as matrix A. Remember friends, a matrix can be assigned with a capital alphabet. Here we are taking it as capital A. Now we'll discuss the order of this matrix. The number of rows in this matrix are 2, R1 and R2, and the number of columns, which are the vertical ones, are 3. So order of this matrix is 2 is to 3. Another example, let's call it matrix B. The number of rows in this matrix B is 3. Let's call them R1, R2 and R3, and the number of columns in this matrix are 2. Let's call them C1 and C2. So order of matrix B is 3 is to 2. Friends, let me give you some examples so you can guess the order of these matrix. Let's say which contains these elements. So can you tell me the order of this matrix A? The order of this matrix A is 3 is to 3, as the number of rows is 3. Let's call them R1, R2 and R3. The number of columns is also 3. Let's call them C1, C2 and C3. So the order of this matrix comes out to be 3 is to 3. Now we'll discuss about the types of the matrix. So now we'll talk about the different types of matrices. We'll discuss them one by one. First is a square matrix. In a square matrix, the number of rows is equal to the number of columns, as in this case, matrix A has 2 rows, R1 and R2, and 2 columns. So in this matrix, the order is 2 is to 2. So what a square matrix basically is. A square matrix is a matrix in which the number of rows and the number of columns are equal. Let's take another example. Say we have a matrix B in which the elements are like 1, 2, minus 1, 5, minus 6, 7, 8, let's say 10, 0. In this matrix, the number of rows is R1, R2, R3. It's 3. And the number of columns is also 3. So we can call this matrix B as a square matrix, as its order is 3 is to 3 and the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. Friends, now we'll discuss how we multiply two matrices. For multiplication of two matrices, there's a basic criteria. Suppose we have a matrix A which has these elements, and let me write the order of this matrix A. It is actually 2 is to 3, as the number of rows is 2 and the number of columns is 3. Let's take another matrix B which is equal to, and the order of this matrix is 3 is to 2, as the number of rows is 3 and the number of columns is 2. Friends, we can multiply two matrices if the order of two matrices, like we need to multiply A and B. The order of A here is 2 is to 3 and the order of B here is 3 is to 2. As we can see, the number of columns in matrix A is equal to the number of rows in matrix B. This is the basic condition how we can multiply two matrices. Suppose if we have two matrices A and B, and the order of A is 5 is to 2 and the order of B is 3 is to say 3. And here we can see the number of columns in A is 2 and the number of rows in B is 3. So as the number of columns in A is not equal to the number of rows in B, so we cannot multiply these two matrices. And let's come back to our question. As we have two matrices A and B in which the number of columns in A is 3 and the number of rows in B is 3, as the number of columns and the number of rows are equal, so we can multiply these matrices and the answer of the multiplication, or we can say the product of these matrices, will give a matrix whose order will be 2:2.